Hi, everyone. Welcome to episode 80 of the All Dolphins podcast.
Playmakers.
Who? What?
Playmakers.
Yes, we're back to numbering them after we took a break from it yesterday in our two live streams that we did. So for number 80, again.
And I want to be transparent before we begin the numbering. I'm not sure how I feel about the live streams. And if you're just absolutely adamant as part of the All Dolphins podcast family that we do it and we get it up after the game, then I will do it. But if you're okay with it, let me know in the comments, please.
Okay.
I'm a man of the people, so I want to make them happy.
Okay. Do I have a say in this or what?
No, you don't have any say in this.
Okay.
It's all about what they want.
Okay, fair enough. Okay, so again, I'm going to repeat myself. This is not necessarily the best player to wear that number. I did a series on that on alldolphins.com. 2 summers ago it was. As I count down to the start of the regular season, every day I had a number. So if you want to revisit those, if you're interested in those, I'll give you the link in the comments. So now it's just whoever pops into my head or whoever's a good story associated with it. So today I'm going to go with one of only 2 tight ends in Dolphin history to make the Pro Bowl. Who has
Eric Green?
Who has 3 sons who played in the NFL. 2 of whom I know are still in the NFL. One of whom I'm not 100% sure. One of them played for the dreaded Buffalo Bills, now with the Chicago Bears. I am talking, of course, about
Edmonds.
Terrell Edmonds, tight end from Maryland, made the Pro Bowl, I want to say, in 1988. And the only other Dolphin tight end to be selected to the Pro Bowl was Keith Jackson, who was, to this day, probably still the best tight end the Dolphins have had in their history. And
I would agree.
Edmonds' sons, of course, are Tremaine Edmonds, linebacker, who used to be with the Bills, now with the Bears. Terrell Edmonds, who is a DB, used to be with the Steelers. I don't know where he is right now. And there's also running back Trey Edmonds. And I also don't know who he's playing for right now. So today is Monday, September 18th, the day after the Dolphins' victory against the New England Patriots 24-17 at Gillette Stadium, moved their record to 2-0. Today was the day after the game media session by Mike McDaniel with some interesting comments. I guess we should start with the health updates on Jalen Waddle, Jalen Phillips, and Teron Armstead. Would you like to do the honors?
Yes, Jalen Waddle is in concussion protocol. Obviously, he's in the first stage of concussion protocol. We'll have a better indication of where he is if he practices later this week. We don't know, we won't know the outcome until Friday. Obviously, that elevates the status of Braxton Berrios and elevates the status of a River Craycraft. And
do it, Omar. Do it, Omar. Do it.
It means Robbie Chosen has to play. As I've said from the very beginning, and I like Braxton Berrios, I like River Craycraft. I'm not really gonna mention Cedric Wilson because you can elevate Cedric Wilson and it'd be cool and great, and even Eric Uzakama. But to me, one guy has the speed to stretch the field and keep your offense consistent to what you do and how you make teams play and the fear factor. And that would be Robbie Chosen. But we'll see how the week progresses. I think part of the issue with Robbie Chosen is he doesn't really understand this offense as well as everybody else does. And that's a major issue for anybody on this team. It's just not Robbie Chosen. And if you do not know their offense and you're not able to speak Spanish fluently, you won't be playing. That's just the nature of who this organization is. And I fully support it because they're taking another step in terms of who they are as an offensive team. And each week there's going to be an elevation and a growth. And basically, if you can't speak Spanish in Spain, you cannot play.
Well, and that part of what makes the offense so good is because of how complex it is for opposing defenses to decipher. And well, an offshoot of that is it's difficult for Dolphin offensive players to master. So, which is why when it's operating at peak efficiency, I mean, it's technical and all that, and a whole lot of things are going on. I will say this, though, and correct me if I'm wrong, that Mike McDaniel kind of sort of hinted that as concussions go, is not bad, because I believe the term he used was he's already moved along in the process when he was talking about Jalen Waddle, which suggests to me that the idea that he plays Sunday against the Broncos is not crazy at all.
Yeah, but as you know, we got to see him on the practice field. He's got to
Right.
not suffer any setbacks. I expect Jalen Waddle to be out there, but we got to see what happens on Thursday and what happens on Friday. Also, he gave an update on Jalen Phillips, who we got a lot of Jalen's on this team, who basically wanted to play, was kind of upset that he couldn't play, but Mike McDaniel kind of gave his rationale, and I completely understand his rationale. If it's not necessary, let's not do it. And potential gives us the potential to suffer a setback. Let's not do it. And funny that he said our depth allows us to do that. And I laugh a little, I chuckle a little when we talk about depth, even though so far they have really shut me up and silenced me from a depth standpoint. I'm sorry. Don't pretend like you expected Andrew Van Ginkel to ball out like that. And his wife probably expected him to ball out like that. His mom and dad expected him to ball out like that. Did you see Andrew Van Ginkel being the AFC possibly player of the week defense? No, come on.
Hold on. Yeah, and I'm going to take issue with what you said here, and not so much in terms of what Van Ginkel did. You know, I've been a big proponent of Van Ginkel for a long time. Maybe not as impactful as it was last night. I think you and I think yesterday we might have shortchanged a little bit. If there's an AFC Defensive Player of the Week candidate on this team, I'm not sure it's Van Ginkel, it's Bradley Chubb. Hold on, hear me out.
Okay.
The forced fumble on the last play of the first quarter. He had the sack on the last drive, which put him in a 2nd and 18 situation. And if you recall the last play of the game, what exactly happened? The throw from Mac Jones to Gesicki was low a little bit because Mac Jones had to hurry it up a little bit. Why did he have to hurry it up? Because Bradley Chubb was getting in his mug like this very quick. Those are 3 kind of majorly impactful plays.
Mm-hmm.
So
I like impactful plays, but what I like better is to feel you the entire game. And I felt Andrew Van Ginkel the entire game, including those impact plays. And I'm not arguing. Congrats to Bradley Chubb, and thank you for showing up for the season. And you know, I live by the Joey Porter mantra: 3 impact plays, I'm in the Pro Bowl. 3 impact plays per game. That's all you need. He got 2, and I'll take 2 every week if that's what you're delivering. I will definitely, without a doubt, unequivocally take 2 per week. But I felt Andrew Van Ginkel way more, and it's not because he's the storyline or not because he's Gink or no, I felt
because you interviewed him Friday.
No, interviewing Andrew Van Ginkel is not really entertaining.
No. And yeah, for those who may not know, Andrew's a very, very nice guy. Not exactly the most loquacious player on the team. Let's put it that way.
I'll give you my mindset and like 2 players that I will be talking to this week, because I didn't talk to him last week. I didn't want to draw attention to him. I didn't want to make them feel any type of way. And I conduct myself that way. Connor Williams, snapping issue. I haven't had one conversation with Connor Williams in a month, despite his snapping issues. I don't want to try to make it a bigger deal than what it is or what it feels like. But at this point, like, I gotta be like, bro, what's up? Like, what is going on? Like, how do you fix this? It's such an issue that it has to be addressed. And last week I didn't talk to Bradley Chubb just because I wanted to give him some space, because it was just one game. Okay, your presence wasn't felt. You didn't really perform that well. I wanted to see how you responded. He responded well. And now he's playing up against his former team. So clearly we're going to be talking to him. So
and plus it'll be a lot more positive conversation than it would have been last week, where the question would have been, Bradley, what the hell happened to you? Where were you? Now it's going to be, a lot more pleasant. You mentioned Connor Williams, and I want to bring this up because I actually have been thinking about this, and I have a theory here, and I want you to hear me out. So one of the questions asked of Mike McDaniel, and by the way, just quickly to finish off our roundup of the health status, he also mentioned the same thing with Teron Armstead. Technically could have gone. They wanted to err on the side of caution. Makes perfect sense. One of the questions was the decision to kick the 55-yard field goal attempt on the last drive before New England got the ball. What he said was, I was going to go for it, except there was a problem with the exchange on 3rd and 1. So then I decided not to. And then I have full confidence in Jason Sanders. Again, you and I both know this is a team that likes analytics. Do you remember last night what I told you that Jason Sanders 2020, absolutely you go for it. Jason Sanders of the last, since then, not so much. Well, I did the research.
Of course you did.
2021, Jason Sanders from 50 yards and beyond, 2 for 6. Jason Sanders 2022, 50 and beyond, 2 for 6. Is it possible that the reason Mike McDaniel went for the field goal attempt was to instill his kicker, who has not been the same since 2020, with a shot of confidence and being willing to accept the consequences if he misses, that I have confidence that my defense is going to hold up. And even if it doesn't, to me, trying to put some confidence into this guy is more significant than if I go for it on 4th and 3 and we convert and we win the game that way.
But even when your operation is a little bit off because of New England's, and I found it very interesting. I watched the Pat McAfee breakdown. And for those who don't know, Pat McAfee is a former punter for the Indianapolis Colts. He's the #1 podcaster in the world. He's built a phenomenal product.
Very, very good.
That ESPN bought and still gave him his rights to. So props to you, Pat McAfee. I've had some interactions with you dealing with I Am Athlete. Thank you for paving the way for everybody in the podcast game, which includes us. We're trying to build this up here. But he mentioned that Jake Bailey. I found this was like some real special team stuff here.
Okay.
Like he broke the film breakdown. I strongly recommend you and every viewer go look at it, because this is some in-depth special team stuff here. He mentioned that Jake Bailey, who used to be a Patriot and used to be the Patriots long snapper for 5 years.
Holder.
Holder, sorry. They knew what his tells were because he was on the team. And so they knew before he called for the snap, he lifted his head. And the lifting of the head was the key for that guy to shoot and sprint. Mm-hmm. and go disrupt the punt. And so they had to change the operation of it, and possibly the snap count, and the operation and the snap count possibly impacted the snap. So again, and we warned you all week on alldolphins.com, the Bill Belichick mastery of special teams, like he's gonna get you. He's gonna get you. You don't know when or how he's gonna get you, but he's gonna get you. And it's a great equalizer to the game. Props to him for doing something that I think the rest of the league will be copycatting, and college football will be copycatting.
No, absolutely. But you still haven't answered my question. Does my theory make sense?
Oh, it does. Mike McDaniel is trying to inject confidence in everybody on the team. He's trying to inject confidence in the coaching staff. So it's, he gave him an endorsement. He'd do it again. Like,
sorry. By the way, this is shame on me for not completing this set. Did I mention in 2020 was 8 for 9 on field goal attempts from outside 50? In 2020, yeah, in 2020, Jason Sanders was the best kicker in the NFL, point blank. But it hasn't continued. And this again, to me, he was looking at maybe short-term sacrifice for long-term benefit if we can get that Jason Sanders back.
He also said that Jason Sanders is the reason we went to the playoffs last year, which is true. Fact.
Yeah, well, also because they were playing a booty cheeks offense in the Jets in that game, and chances are even it had gone 6-6 into overtime, they would have gone because the Jets were so bad that day. But yes, Jason Sanders kicked a 50-yard field goal. We mentioned the special teams, which New England won. Props, however, to Jake Bailey. Had a great night for other than maybe tipping off the snap, had a great night punting. I think his net was over 50 yards, which was really good. Yes, no.
I don't look at special team stuff. So I couldn't even. I was like,
What do you mean you don't look at special team stuff? I thought you love special teams.
No, that's perk. I don't like special teams. I usually
There was
take
O-line
a
and
nap
special
first.
teams with you. Oh.
Huh?
Throughout the preseason, you're talking about how you want to keep guys on the roster because of special teams, and now they
Yeah,
don't.
I mean they're important. I don't say I watch them or pay attention to them.
Okay.
I don't want you to be booty on special teams. So
Booty
yeah,
cheats.
and gunners are important. I'm real big on gunners. Somebody said Cam Smith sent the Patriots guy into the
Matthew
Gatorade
Slater,
tank.
yes, he did.
Um,
And they got him again when he came back and put him down on the ground. Matthew, this was on the play where Barrios got the 18-yard punt return right before Raheem Mostert's 43-yard touchdown, and the Slater was like bitching for a call or whatever.
Go rookie! Congratulations, Cam Smith. Congratulations! Look at you. I'm big on that. Like, you want to play, go out here and bust some heads on special teams. You're an elite athlete. You should be able to contribute in that phase of the game. But yeah, I don't pay. I don't watch special teams during practice.
You know what I don't watch during the games? And
what?
I mentioned it on Twitter last night. I mean, seriously, please get rid of the kickoff already. I mean, yawn. I mean, I understand. The one good thing about it is it's a very short play, but seriously, to watch a guy kick the ball in the end zone and go ahead and change the personnel and go start at the 25. We've played 2 games now, the Dolphins. We have not seen one kickoff return yet. Yawn. Anyway, that's my, if I'm commissioner for a day, somebody gives me that job, I get rid of this and I get rid of instant replay, which could not suck more if it tried. You're not aware that I completely despise instant replay to no end?
No, I did not. So you'd rather the human element? We humans suck. Like,
and you know what? And they still suck. And the problem is, here's my issue with it. From a viewing experience, it disrupts the flow of the game where you have to go, hold on, let me make my point, because you're like giving me the face.
I didn't say a word.
I know, but
my wife makes the same complaint. I make faces. I'm sorry. I make faces. I've made faces my whole life. I can't stop doing it.
Okay. I'll try to ignore your faces. So to me, from a viewing standpoint, it completely disrupts the flow. That's issue number 1. Issue number 2 is you can get screwed by a call that's not reviewable, and too bad you're out of luck. And if you happen to be lucky enough to get screwed on a call that is reviewable, well, lucky you, because it's going to get reversed. But my biggest gripe, and talk to the people in New England, and you actually said that you thought New England still had a first down on that last play. If after the disruption, and how long was that review? It was quite a while. We still have not arrived at a point where it's point blank for sure. Why bother with it? The idea when it was first presented, it's supposed to be, if you got 50 people at a bar, they watch a replay within 5 seconds, everybody can say it was wrong. Okay, that's fine. So to me, it'd be like, if you put a 30-second clock on it, you look at one replay, oh, that's an obvious miss, then change it, that's fine. They take 5 minutes, and then they come back, and it's like, you still don't know if this is the right call or not. So anyway, that's my...
It helps get the game right, and you're right. There still are instances where everything should be reviewable. Now, I would hate,
my face now.
Listen, Linda. You get you get 3 reviews per game. You use it however you want, but these are your 3, and every scoring opportunity is reviewable. And I'm good. I'm gravy. I even like PI. I'm sorry, PI should be reviewable.
They tried that 1 year. You don't remember what a mess it was?
Because they didn't want to call it. They didn't try. They didn't want to overturn. Humans suck, and humans are prone to error. Not to say that review gets it right, but it gets it right more than often. And I don't want to leave a game to the hands of humans. I don't.
But if it's a judgment call made on the field, if it's getting reviewed, guess what? It's another human who's making a judgment call as to what he sees. This is why, to me, I've always said tennis is
another team of humans.
Like I've always said, to me, tennis is the only sport where it works, because it's literally electronic, where they go from up above and they zoom in and they literally can put an image of exactly where the ball landed. No ifs, ands, or buts, takes 5 seconds and then you go. I mean, that's perfect. Other than that, and there's just the constant interruptions and the delays. Anyway, that's my spiel. I'm sure half the
word about the TV product. TV product. They're not complaining.
It's a TV product.
Just throw some more commercials in there. More money.
There you go.
Yeah.
There you go. Anything else Mike McDaniel said might have stood out to you today? I'm trying to think.
I really liked, and I made this point yesterday on the podcast that we did. I like the fact that they're winning with adversity, with some struggles, giving you teachable moments. They're playing team football, and Mike McDaniel, where everybody has to lean on one another. They want to be independent, but they're going to have to lean on one another. These are the things that build team identities, team momentum. The Minnesota Vikings last year won in similar fashion to how the Miami Dolphins are winning right now. Can you imagine a Miami Dolphins team that gets 12 wins? They're peaking, they're trending up, they're sustaining, they're building. And I respect that. I like it. I think it's ultimately going to make them a better team. Everybody who's followed this podcast, and I'm not going to turn tail and deny that I said it, and I still believe it, your depth is an issue. Well, so far, your depth is stepping up and showing out. Kendall Lamb, Andrew Van Ginkel, some of these safeties that are playing because Brandon Jones is injured.
Well, Deshaun, I don't know if they called Deshaun Elliott depth. I told you when they signed him, I would be my guess that he'd be the starter.
He hasn't been bad.
No, he was very, very good yesterday.
Yeah, no argument there. I'm trying Eli Apple. He's a backup, so your depth is stepping up and showing out and doing well. And props to them. My fear is, later on down the season that it'll rear its ugly head. But I hope that's not the case, and I hope they continue to build momentum and continue to build this team's success. Now, obviously, they got a tough opponent, a team that's bleeding out.
Yeah.
In the Denver Broncos.
Tough opponent, Denver Broncos? Since when?
Oh, wow.
Dude, they were like 5-12 last year and they're 0-2. I mean.
Yeah, but 5-12 with dysfunctional coaching.
True. That is true.
And you at least know the coaching has improved. I'm not sure the offense has clicked, but I looked it up this morning. Russell Wilson's 108 rated quarterback. I think he's like 2 is the 7th highest rated quarterback in the league. And Russell is probably in top 4. And
you know who's won, right?
No.
I'll give you a hint. Let's play password. Brian Flores. Come on. You can do it. That's not going to play very well with some of the fans, but Jordan Love is number 1 in passer rating so far.
Oh, yeah. Damn. Totally forgot. Yeah, I knew that too. Yeah. Brian Flores was right. Totally right.
You mentioned Eli Apple. I want to touch on this because I made the point because I rewatched that last play. The Dolphins don't make that tackle and don't stop Cole Strange short of first down if it's not for Eli Apple. If you remember the play, Mike Gesicki throws it back to Cole Strange, and then Javon Holland and Andrew Van Ginkel combine to like corral him, but he's a big dude, so he's kind of moving along. Eli Apple came in from the back end and threw a shoulder into him enough to where he stopped the momentum and he went down. And of course, everybody on social media was like, I was like, give him the guy's props. He made a big play there, and I understand he had some penalty issues, and everybody was like, he completely sucked and all that. He's not, listen, guys, he's not Jalen Ramsey. I mean, there's not that many Jalen Ramseys around.
And I say this all the time. Defensive backs, the game is rigged against them. The game is rigged for them to lose. Yep. Like a receiver can push them all day long. The minute they touch a receiver, it's a flag. So holding and pass interference, it's part of their game. It's to disrupt the guy, throw him off the route. Like you could cry about X and Eli Apple getting PI calls. I'm sorry. The game is rigged for them to be called for PI. Like you don't sit there and think like that they're just playing horribly. They're just doing what they're normally doing. They're just getting called for it. It is what it is. You could call PI on just about every single play. Just like you could call holding on every single play.
No, and it's like I have a hard time getting all torqued up about the play of the defensive backs when New England's longest completion was 14 yards, number 1. Yeah. And then number 2, when Mac Jones was 0 for 10 on passes that traveled 10 yards in the air. And I understand that New England's vertical passing game is, how can we put this politely, completely pathetic? Is that too harsh? It's bad.
They're a team that they clearly need a receiver upgrade. But as I say consistently and will say consistently, Bill Belichick, the GM, is going to get Bill Belichick, the coach, fired.
Yeah.
Eventually, after he takes down Don Shula's record.
No, eventually, and there's and they've made some weird moves, and it's an offense built for 20 years ago. Anyway, that's beside the point. That's the Patriots. They have their own. Am I wrong?
18-year dynasty.
Well, there's a different factor there involved. They also had maybe the best tight end in the history of the NFL, and for a time they had another guy who was a hell of a tight end until he kind of ran into some issues.
Started killing people. Yeah.
Okay. Wasn't necessarily going to say it, but okay. Yeah, we know who we're talking about. But I'm with you in the sense that it's the offense that's really grabbed the spotlight, and rightfully so far this season for the Dolphins, but it's the defense that's been on the field and clinched the wins the past 2 games.
Because the offense couldn't take care of business. But go ahead.
Well, they did. No, the offense took care of business against the Chargers, except they did it too quickly and gave the Chargers time, and then boom, unleashed the pass rush, and it's over. And then yesterday, no, the offense couldn't close. And it looked very promising. This was like a 5-minute offense where we're talking about this is when you need your running game when you're trying to close out a game. And they were like on the verge of closing it. Mostert had an 11-yard gain or a 14-yard gain. They got help from the roughness penalty, and they got themselves into 3rd and 1, which you would like to think they would have been able to convert, but we'll never know because there was a bad snap. But then this is where the defense stepped up. And the big play, and again, in that sequence more than anything else, the key to a defensive stand late in the game is you have to have at least one major negative impact play for the offense. That's usually what happens. Against the Chargers, it was basically 3.
Negative impact play for the offense. Okay.
And then against the Patriots last night, it was just the 8-yard sack that put the Patriots in 2nd and 18, where immediately they're in deep trouble because it's not a team that can convert it to 2nd and 18 nearly as easily as other teams around the NFL.
As easy as the Dolphins, you mean?
The Dolphins, the Bills, the Chiefs,
You mean upper echelon offense Dolphins led by Tua Tagovailoa? I said upper echelon Dolphins led by Tua Tagovailoa. Even when they're like 1st and 19, you're like, yeah, Tua will get that. That's confidence in quarter. Don't blink like that.
I'm not doing any. Jesus,
I'm watching you blink.
I'm not doing anything. I'm not doing anything. Oh my God, man! I can't breathe. The second you say Tua, I don't know exactly what face I'm supposed to have to show that I'm acquiescing, and I'm like yeah.
Just start throwing a thumbs up.
Tua's balling out. There you go. Absolutely. But no, you're absolutely right. If it's 2nd and 18, there are teams around the league like the Bears are done, the Patriots are done, Dolphins are not done, the Chiefs are not done.
Yeah.
Ravens are not done. The Bengals right now, with the way Joe Burrow is kind of hobbling around, usually they're not done. But let's say it's half and half, or maybe 2/3 are not done, and 1/3 of the teams are done. And with the Patriots, they're done if they're in 2nd and 18.
So my biggest issue is with this team, and my Mike McDaniel addressed it, is here are the things. While you're playing well, while you're having success, everybody's celebrating you. And he talked about it. He basically was like, we had this success last year, and then the league humbled us, and they had that 5-game losing streak. And the players learn from that experience. So they're not falling for this whole, oh, the Dolphins are the darlings of the NFL. Oh, the Dolphins are this and that. And I think that you're seeing a maturation on this team. You're seeing a growth on this team. And I really think that this season for them won't begin until they show what they can do against Buffalo. Now, I know they want to go in this and take care of business, and especially hold home turf and hold field. But this Buffalo, the Buffalo game the week that follows, and yes, I actually know what the schedule looks like only because you told me. I don't know if it's home or on the road. I think it's on the road. Yeah. I think that's when you will see them locked in and focused, because they're trying to show you, and this is one of those things that I didn't believe when we began the season, They talk Super Bowl, and they're trying to show you we're going for it. We have that talent. We have that team. I can't say I absolutely buy in, but I'm starting to believe.
Yeah, again, it's too early, and then the potential is there for that if things go right. As I've said all along, there's one difference though between where they were at 8-3 last year, and because if I'm not sure I buy it, but if the idea is that they were starting to feel themselves a little bit too much, and they're not this year, well, because when they got to 8-3, they smoked Houston, they smoked Cleveland. They won on the road against Chicago and Detroit. Mind you, those were not like blowouts, but there was 2 wins on the road, and then they came back and they got to 8-3 by blowing out Cleveland, blowing out Houston. So they're 8-3 on a 5-game winning streak, where the last 2 games they've blown out 2 teams. So I get it. Whereas this year they're 2-0, but like I said last night, they won by 2 and by 7, and both games coming down to the last drive. So it's not like if they've blown anybody out, and they should be absolutely thrilled that they're 2-0. They should be very confident, but it's too early to be in the we love ourselves mode. And my biggest concern about the Denver game, I'm going to be honest with you, is, and then this is human nature coming into play, is trap game looking ahead. They're 2-0. The Charger game was big in terms of the emotion. 2 playoff teams from last year. At New England, always a big AFC East game. Now you're coming home opener against a Denver team that's 0-2 with Buffalo looming. And by the way, Dolphin players know the schedule, whatever they say, they know they're playing at Buffalo the following week. So my biggest concern with Denver isn't so much the Broncos, it's the looking ahead factor.
Yeah, but I don't know if you can feel comfortable looking ahead to a Sean Payton coach team led by Russell Wilson. I get it. Everybody's down on Russell Wilson. It's pile on Russell Wilson season, carrying over from last year. But Russell Wilson's still, in my opinion, first ballot Hall of Famer. So, or at least he'll get in.
No, he's not. I was the face I was making was debating first ballot. He's definitely getting in first ballot. And this is one of those. If you had your way, maybe they win the game yesterday, because everybody seemed to think there was a DPI on the 2-point conversion. I guess there's an angle that showed the DB. By the way, is one of my peeps, Benjamin Saint-Just, from somewhere around the Montreal area, who was covering the Cortland Sutton in the end zone on the 2-point conversion. The angle I saw, it's tough to tell. I think he's got his left arm around the left shoulder.
Yeah, he's got his arm around.
Not as bad, and this has nothing to do with the Dolphins, but I want to point out, did you see the OBJ play in the end zone where he is falling down? He is hand wrestling with the DB. He's falling down. As he's falling down, he literally grabs the jersey of the cornerback and pulls the cornerback down with him. And they call defensive pass interference. It was like,
but were they hand wrestling?
They were hand wrestling where it's a no call or both. And then once OBJ went down and grabbed the Bengals defender by the jersey to pull him down alongside him. He literally just bought himself for a quarter or 50 cents a DPI call. You have to look at the play. It was like
part of the game. That listen, as I said, cornerbacks they have everything stacked against them.
Yeah, agreed. Did you see I sent you the Kareem Jackson hit on Logan Thomas in the end zone? Did you check it out?
No, I haven't had an opportunity to check it out.
Okay, the word is now he's not going to get suspended. There was talk that he might get suspended because that's 2 roughness penalties where he knocks a guy out of the game. Egregious enough to where there was consideration he might get suspended. He's going to be
back in the day. That used to be a good play on defense. But anyway, let's move on.
Jumps into the guy to make contact with his head. Yeah, I hear what you're saying, and I grew up in that era of the head hunting in the secondary.
Yeah, if you were a safety and somebody was coming over the middle, you were going to let him know it's not okay to go over the middle.
Yeah.
That used to be part of the game.
Yeah.
Now it's not, and I get it. People, game has to evolve. Trying to keep it safe for moms to let little junior to go out there and play football, and little junior misses go out there and play flag football. But bro, let's not pretend like that wasn't how we grew up on football, especially you. Goodness gracious. Were they even wearing helmets back in the day when you started watching football?
That's good. Yeah, but there were leather helmets.
Yeah, I figured they were leather helmets. But yeah, it's the wussification of football. But I get it. If you're trying to make more billions, you're trying to turn a $16 billion sport into a $20 billion sport. I get it. Like, you got to make it safe for the future.
I get it too, and there's always a fine balance because you like the element of the big hit. You also, I don't like cheap shots either. I mean, you can have a big hit without being cheap. And Kareem Jackson literally like jumping into the head area of Logan Thomas in the end zone. That's to me, it wasn't an intent of like trying to dislodge the ball. It's like, you coming in my area, I'm going to make you feel it.
As Deshaun Elliott put it,
Yeah.
business.
Yeah. Otherwise, actually, I have to find the quote. He said something a lot more inflammatory than that during training camp. I don't remember what it is right now. So
he would have lit somebody up. He would have lit Alec Ingold up, and I disagree. I think Alec Ingold might have lit you up. Alec Ingold,
not if he's not looking.
Yeah. Oh, Alec Ingold says he's going to fight the $14,000 fine for playing football that he received this weekend.
Did you see the replay?
Yeah, I did.
Oh my God. I mean, little helmet to helmet contact, but I mean, Jesus, guy going to block a defender. Really? No flag on the play. I mean, wasn't like he could put his head down and let it. They just happened to like meet at the helmet. I didn't think that.
I mean, but at least it's they got to show that offensive players can be subjected to these fines and penalties too. And
Sure.
If you're going to use one player as an example, it's going to be Alec Ingold. It's going to be the fullbacks. Am I wrong? But
you're somebody who lowers, because there's still guys every once in a while who lower the head before contact. Those guys need to be fine. But that was like, I don't know.
Derrick Henry lowers his head. Is a Derrick Henry run going to be offensive? What's the penalty? Roughing the defensive player.
I don't know if that's how I read in the rule book, but we're getting close to that time, Omar. Anything else stand out to you before we wrap it up and say goodbye?
No, we'll have a enemy behind enemy lines episode tomorrow for you folks. Obviously we'll be on the watch for Jalen Waddle and his status, and Teron Armstead and everything. So you know how to find us. Tell the people.
We're already on YouTube since you're watching this. All Dolphins podcast. Subscribe, like, share, download, phone a friend. For your audio podcast on the Fans First Sports Network under Miami Dolphins Insider, our written content, and there's a lots of it, and it's all free on alldolphins.com. And again, as Omar mentioned, tomorrow, behind enemy lines, an inside look at the Denver Broncos. Catch you then, Omar.
See you, bye.